Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Miles. It is July 31st, 2017. Okay, so you all know that I'm an entertainer. I produce horror movies and music worldwide. I'm also a psychic. I've been giving readings for over 9 years now. And I'm also a huge xenophile. You know, I love cultures, studying different ethnicities, family of origins, all that good stuff. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I do have a 2-year degree in human services, a bachelor's in social work, and a master's in school counseling. Initially, I was, and this is my collegial days, I was an anthropology major. I've always been fascinated by cultures and learning different ways of life because I come from a very mixed background. So that's probably what inspired me to pursue anthropology. However, I changed my major. It's not because of the coursework. I loved the coursework, but the reason why I changed is because after doing research, I discovered at the time there wasn't an abundance of opportunities for anthropologists. So I just didn't think it was really worth my time to go through all this education. At the end, it would be hard pressed to find a job. So that's why I decided to change my major and pursue social work and school counseling education. But I still have not lost my interest in anthropology and studying cultures and things of that nature and genetics and all that fun stuff. I still have not lost my interest. Excuse me. And it's I'm 46 years old and I still have an interest. I mean, it hasn't gone away. Actually, it's getting stronger. You know. But anyways, so if you look at the screen, you'll see my DNA results. Turns out that I'm 52% European, 46% African, and 2% Middle Eastern. And you can check out the different ethnicities, and I'm very proud of all of my cultures because without all of them, I would not exist. And so this brings me to my next topic, and that is a lot of times people think because their parents or grandparents were from a certain country that they're 100% this or that. And often that's not true, because what I do remember learning in anthropology is there's a lot of migrations, crossing borders, endogamous relationships, all sorts of different things where people mix and mingle and settle in various cultures, learn the language, their kids grow up, marry somebody within that same region, their kids grow up, but it doesn't change your DNA. So I don't think people understand that. But anyways, I'll get a little bit into it as we go along with this video. So, as I mentioned to you before, I'm very proud of all my heritages. There were some surprises. I did not know anything about my African heritage, and like a lot of African Americans, you know, we really don't know much about our backgrounds, you know, because of slavery. A lot of identities were lost and obliterated, records and everything. So, you know, only thing I knew growing up was my father is African American, but what does that mean? I mean, Africa is a large continent with a ton of different cultures, ethnicities, tribes, whatever you want to say. And also too is Africa has people from all over the world that move there, settle, have kids grow up, they have kids. So Africa is a very diverse continent, ladies and gentlemen. They're not just black people there, there's Arabs there, there are mixed people there, Asians, whites, etc. It's a very multicultural, multi-ethnic continent. You know, you might as well say it's pluralistic. And I say it's pluralistic as opposed to an amalgamation is because you have a lot of cultures or ethnicities where they kind of stay within their own, whereas an amalgamation, people are kind of mixing and mingling and are all like one big happy family. So I would say Africa is more of a pluralistic society as opposed to an amalgamation. Anyways, so I've always had an interest, like I said, learning about different cultures and things of that nature. And I was just really shocked to find out, that I'm part Nigerian, Ghanaian, Congolese, Senegalese. Like, I'm just fascinated by that whole, discovery. And with my European ancestry, I was raised to think that I was a quarter German and a quarter Serbian and half African American. Again, at the time, didn't know what ethnicities they were, but I found out that I actually have Italian ancestry, Scandinavian, what else? Great or British. Lots of surprises. So I tell people is, yes, you may be culturally one thing, but genetically, ethnically, you could be something else. And the only way you're going to really know, ladies and gentlemen, if you get a DNA test done, because you can't beat science. And AncestryDNA, just so you know, they're reputed to be one of the most accurate sites to get your DNA test done, or companies, I should say, to have your DNA test done compared to some of the other ones, because they've done countless studies where identical twins were using pseudonyms, because remember, you can use a fake name, and all the results came back like 99.9% the same. So, it's very, very accurate. I just wanted to put that out there. But anyways, so when I had my DNA test done, again, I used my real name, Richard Miles, but of course I could have used a pseudonym, but I decided not to use a pseudonym. And they give you your ethnic composition, and then next to it, all these people that you're related to. And a lot of them you've never met before, right? So it's kind of cool. Like, I met a lot of African American relatives that I didn't know existed, and also a lot of Europeans and some other different ethnicities. So it's really, really cool. But I have a cousin, a paternal second cousin, that showed up at the very top as a direct match. And her name is completely different, different sides of the world. But the point is that she showed up. So this is why I know those tests are real and they're accurate. Anyway, so I do want to talk to everyone about a huge misconception. And again, this video is purely coming from a place of education. I love all people. I would love to bring everyone together. We're all brothers and sisters. We really are, directly and indirectly. So I just want to make that very clear, is I love all good people. The toxic ones, I have no interest in. But the good people, I love all people, because at the end of the day, we're all going to eat, sleep, die the same. So there's a big misconception when people say that blacks come in all shades. That is not true. And I don't have the answers to everything. I was a very good student when I was in my undergrad and graduate program, taught by some of the nation's best professors, PhD professors that have been in the field of anthropology and all these other disciplines for several years, traveled around the world, had many publications, empirical publications. And so, I was a very good student. I didn't stare out the window. I didn't daydream. I was actually very, very attentive and focused on the coursework and, the teacher before me. I was a very, very good student, and it showed in my performance, So anyways, there's this big myth that, blacks come in all shades, and that's actually incorrect. Mixed people come in all shades. And I do want to make note is, when you look at this video, you'll see our original ancestors, ladies and gentlemen, my black ancestors that come from my father's side, come from Western Africa. And we all remember during the transatlantic slave trade, the Africans that were brought to America were from the western region of Africa, and they were all dark skinned, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. Those are the features. Dark skin, tight coiled hair, broad features. Those are the original blacks that were brought here. When you start to see all the light skins and the different phenotypes, those are from mixtures, from mixing. When Europeans and Africans start to mix, and a lot of it was through rape, okay? But not all of it, which is another myth. Some people had loving relationships, but because of miscegenation laws, which means that there was a prohibition against blacks and whites, marrying, or the unionization of blacks and whites, a lot of it was kind of like kept quiet, covert, kind of behind closed doors, because if it was discovered that you were dating or in love or whatever you want to call it with somebody of a different race, particularly black and white, you can be killed, lynched, or whatever. A lot of horrible things can happen to you. So I do want to make clear that not every light-skinned person is the product of rape. Some of them are, and some of them are not. Because if you say that, that's an absolute. That means 100%, and we all know that's not true. There were loving relationships, but it was kind of done on the DL. But anyways, so when the mixing occurred, that's when you saw the light skins, some light eyes. Some of the mixed children had light eyes, soft curly hair, different, phenotypes. But that's when it started in America, just so you know. So what people fail to understand is that being mixed is not just having one parent this, one parent that. It's also a person that's multi-generational mix. And so genes, ladies and gentlemen, do not expire like food, right? So this is why you're like, wow, I inherited this medical problem, and nobody in my immediate family has this condition. But if you dig deep enough, you may discover that you inherited the gene from someone maybe 10 generations ago. It's called gene hopping. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, you inherit 50-50 from both parents. Most people have some kind of mixture. There's different levels and degrees, but it's hard pressed to find someone that's 100% German or 100% Khoisan. It's very difficult because there's so much mixing. But I do want to say is that if you have two parents that are mixed, multi-generational, meaning that their parents, their grandparents were all pretty much mixing with other mixed people, the genes don't expire. So, for example, if you look at this video, there's a photo I have of Vanessa Williams and her parents. Her parents are both multi-generational mixed people. Now, I don't know what their percentages are, but they're light skinned, so obviously they're mixed race. They're two mixed people that produced Vanessa Williams. And remember, you inherit 50-50 from both parents. And let's say in a perfect world, mom is 50% white, 50% black. Dad, same mixture. Let's just say that, right? 50-50 both parents. And they create children. Now, of course, the children could be mixed race, but they could be different percentages, because remember, you're getting 50% from mom, and it's like a lotto. It could be any number, any genes. So for mom, you may inherit 40% black and 10% white. Dad, who's also 50-50, you may inherit 20% white and 30% black. So you bring those numbers together, it gives you a different mathematic outcome. See, the math is different in terms of your percentages. So you may not be 50-50 like mom and dad, because it all depends on what you inherited. This is why if you have a family, ladies and gentlemen, if they're not identical twins or just siblings, they may all look different because they inherited different percentages and different genes from mom and dad. It's kind of like the analogous of a grocery store. One sibling may inherit pears and bananas from mom and grapes and strawberries from dad, whereas another sibling may inherit peaches and plums from mom and cantaloupe and honeydew from dad. Same parents, but if there's mixture, you pick up different genes. This is why people look different. Different shades, different phenotypes, different hair, different skull shapes, all of that. So I want to make that very clear. So when people say that blacks come in all shades, that's not true. Mixed blacks come in all shades. Mixed people come in all shades. And there's different levels and degrees. So if you look at my video, you'll see our original ancestors that were brought here. None of them were light skinned. None of them look like me. None of them look like Vanessa Williams, Halle Berry, Boris Cujo, who's biracial. Halle Berry's biracial. Vanessa Williams is a multi-generational mixed person. Her DNA showed up that she's 44% white, I believe 2% Native American, and the rest African American or black. So she's technically very similar to what I am. The only difference is that I'm like a lot of mixed kids. If you have two parents, you're socialized differently, obviously, because I went to a home with two different cultures. Whereas with Vanessa, she has two multi-generational mixed parents. So yes, there are differences in terms of our cultures and how we're socialized. That is the truth, because I'm a direct descendant or direct offspring of a mixed union. So I have white mom, black dad, and white grandparents, black grandparents, white cousins, black cousins. That makes sense? Whereas somebody like Vanessa Williams, or who else? Boris Cujo's wife, I forget her name. She's a multi-generational mixed person. She's still mixed, but just multi-generational. So I just wanted to educate everyone about that, because I know there's always lots of confusion about who's mixed and who's not. And again, just look at our original ancestors. The reason why we look the way we do is because when you bring white and black together, you create various shades of light skin. Some of us are super, super, super light. Others are medium. We come in all different hues, different skin textures, different undertones, different facial features, hair texture, nose, all of that. That's when you blend cultures, you get that. Oh, and I do want to make note too is, a lot of times I read on social media that Mariah Carey is biracial, half black, half white. No, she's not. She's mixed race, but her dad was a multi-generational mixed person, very similar to Vanessa Williams' parents. He was part Venezuelan, which a lot of Venezuelans have indigenous ancestry. So, and also Spanish from Spain. So her father was light-skinned. He was a multi-generational mixed person. Her mother is Irish, but again, I don't know her DNA results, but she appears to be very Eurocentric. But the point is that Mariah inherited 50% from mom, and if her dad's mixed, you don't know what percentage of white genes that she picked up, and Native American, and of course African. So most likely she's more than 50% white, because her dad already has white ancestry. Does everyone get that? Because you're going to get at least 50% of random genes. I don't know what random genes they are that she inherited, because she's never had a DNA test to my knowledge, or at least went public about it. But she's not 50-50 like someone like myself or Halle Berry or Barack Obama. We're what you want to call true mulattoes. Mariah Carey is very similar to my daughter. She has significant amount of white ancestry. But I do want to say is, I'm not exactly 50-50. If you look at my DNA results, I'm 40% African, 52% white, and 2% Arab. So I am technically multiracial. But I'm just making a point to you is that Halle Berry, Barack Obama are what you call true mulattoes. You know, they're probably very close to 50-50, because their fathers, like Obama's, was a true black African. You know, I don't know about his DNA results, but that's how our original black ancestors look. Is like Barack Obama's father. You know, he passed away, but the point is, that is how our ancestors looked. So if he had any mixture, it would be very, very, very little. Whereas Mariah's father is a mixed race person, you know, and I believe he passed away as well. I'm not sure about that. But the point is that, you know, many mixed people in America that have one African American parent and one white are most likely going to be more white than black, because that African American parent, there's a high chance there's white ancestry due to slavery, you know. So anyways, I always recommend people get your DNA test done, because that's the only way you're ever going to know. But just because you're from a country does not mean you're 100%, you know, this or that. Science does not lie. And on an end note is that North Africans, ladies and gentlemen, are very close to Iberians in terms of their haplogroups in their DNA. They're more closer, or I should say they're closer to Europeans than they are to sub-Saharan. And if you look at any anthropological studies, they talk about it when it comes to their genetic markers, their genetic sequences, and also their haplogroups. They're very similar. Same thing with East Africans. They do have a substantial amount of Arabian ancestry. So if you ever watch the DNA results, it all comes out. This is why Eastern Africans look like they're biracial or multiracial. Well, they are. They're just multi-generational mixed people. And it always comes out in their DNA. Well, that concludes my video. I hope you enjoyed this. You all have a blessed day.